Welcome back, everyone. The proposed deductions of $1 billion to fight Boko Haram has been on top of the conversation nationally when the governors came out after the National Economic Council meeting on Thursday to say this money is needed to fight Boko Haram. They did say they need to procure equipment for the military and also build intelligence system. Let's continue with the conversation. We're since being joined by a legal practitioner and a policy analyst, Mr. Kenneth Odidika. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Let me quickly come to you. What is the legality of the excess crude account? Because from my knowledge, there's been this tussle, this back and forth in the National Assembly about the constitutional stand of this money, of this account, and this system of the monies that are accrued, excess monies that are accrued when Nigeria sell in the sale of crude oil. If these monies are withdrawn, because a lot of people say any money that is spent by government needs to be appropriated, but this they say, well, perhaps may not be appropriated. Constitutionally speaking, what is the stand of the excess crude account?
Thank you very much, Jim. I'm not aware of any law backing the excess crude account. It was a policy of government. I think it was under General Olusegun Obasanjo, President Olusegun Obasanjo. And then up till this moment, I'm not aware of any law that backs it. Now, the problem we have in Nigeria is that the concept of democracy, of federalism, is still alien to us. You see, the governors who now said, look, federal government, take $1 billion out of $2.3 billion in the excess crude account, still see themselves as vassals. They believe there's a monarch somewhere who they have to kowtow to. So all they do is, what do I think the monarch wants? Let me do that for him, so as to be in his good books. Somebody tells you, oh, I need $1 billion to fight Boko Haram. I watched the governor of Edo State. His lips were quivering when he was talking about it. I even now went on to say, we expect that the money will be used for logistics, intelligence. We expect. That is to say, they were not even told what the money will be done with, or what they were going to do with the money. So what it means, in effect, is that they are just trying to please somebody without knowing what our money will be used for. This is money that ordinarily ought to go to Federation account, from where to be dispersed, according to the law. Now, it's kept aside. And rather than now go through the due process to ensure that the money is, because there are 3 tiers that are attached to this money. Now, governors say, give it to federal government. What, has anybody thought about the fact that the local governments are also entitled to a portion of this money?
But the question is, this money, is it illegal for anybody to spend this money in the eye of the Constitution?
We wouldn't even say, first of all, that it's even illegal to accumulate it in the first place, the way it's being accumulated.
But if it's a policy of, if the money is generated by a policy of government, isn't that a quasi-law in itself?
No, ordinarily, yes. If the policy derives from a law, then it's more like it has the backing of the law. But if the policy is something that is just plucked out of the air, that has no backing of the law, that might actually contravene the law.
But does the Constitution say that any money whatsoever, 1 kobo, can never be spent if it's not appropriated for?
It is use the words you're using. However, by implication, because if all income of the federal government, of Nigeria, should go to Federation account, that supposes that anyone that doesn't go into it is actually unconstitutional.
Both the one that you envisage and the one that comes as excess?
Everything is envisaged. We expect to earn $1 billion, for instance, example, $1 billion from oil in 2018, for example. It's envisaged. So as it's coming, it should be going straight to Federation account. Not you take 800 million into Federation account and keep 200 million in another account that you spend arbitrarily as the spirit moves, as we say in Nigeria. That is not proper.
I mean, let me go to Mr. Fasua. He's a chairman, the pro-tem chairman of the new party, but he's an economist and an analyst. Give us a sense of what, historically speaking, this excess crude account, it was at some point depleted. It's been grown to 2.3 billion naira. What exactly are the expectations of these kind of monies? In the past, the governors had fought the federal government about the disbursement of these monies.
Well, thank you, Sean. Now, this is a combination of several things. As at the time the account was created under President Obasanjo, the whole idea was to say, let us not spend all the money while the going was good. People talked about Norway. In a place like Norway, they sterilize all the proceeds of crude oil, you know, and then they find other ways of running an economy. And that's part of the economic discussion we were having earlier on. What do you want to do about the economy? How do you diversify an economy? You have to look away from all of these slush funds, you know. So that was the whole idea then, but it was abused. So as at that time, we accumulated up to $12 billion. And then they depleted it, and now they started rebuilding it because, again, you realize that crude oil has been doing above budget lately, and it is anything above the budget that they try and sterilize in the account. Now, what's going on particularly in this instance, now we have to also look at the case of what they call the Paris Club refund, which when I investigated that issue, I found out that people are made to believe that the Paris Club is sending some money back to Nigeria. But in actual fact, it is not so. The government, the state governors, they leaned on the president. They said there's some money that has been deducted between 1992 and 2005, and that they've started pursuing that money since 2005. Obasanjo refused to pay them. He left in 2007. Yaradua refused to pay. Goodluck refused to pay. But they've managed to get the money. It's about between 2 trillion and 3 trillion that's going to be collected, and they've given them about 800 billion now. I think another one is in the offing.